Welcome back to the Scott Design video series, and today I'm going to be talking about how I built this DIY boom pole and microphone blimp. Let's go and get started. Alright, so this boom pole I bought at Walmart for $10. This is a 4-foot painter's pole that extends to 8 feet. So with this length, we have plenty of distance to keep that microphone over the talent, but yet out of frame, and get some awesome audio. And it's also, you can kind of set this to wherever you like it. You can actually just kind of twist it, and it holds the tension there. And then, so the only thing that I really did here is that at the end here, this has the kind of like the universal paint roller extension, or the screw here, and it's made out of hard plastic. So what I did is I took a drill bit and then I drilled just large enough so I could put a 3/8 threaded rod down in here. And you could pick these up at Home Depot or Lowe's, these little 3/8 threaded rods. So this isn't a bolt or anything, it's just a rod that I actually had to saw to make it a little bit shorter. So it actually sits in there probably about like that deep in there. And then so before I put the 3/8 threaded rod in there, I actually filled it with a bunch of JB Weld hardening putty and just let it set with this overnight. And don't get the JB Weld quick set because it'll make it a lot less strong. So you want to get the original JB Weld. And then so I just kind of put it in there and I just held it in the corner, try to keep it upright and as straight as I could. And so I used this plenty of times. It hasn't came loose, so I think that JB Weld really created that strong bond that I needed to kind of get that stuck in there. Okay, so this is what is called a dead cat, because it kind of looks like a dead cat, I guess. And so what this is basically some fabric that I found at Joann's Fabric, and then had a family member who is a seamstress just kind of sew up the ends a little bit, but you could really easily take some thread and then just you just kind of basically kind of flip it just as if you're inside out here, and just kind of sew it through to where you want the ends to close. And then one thing that I would suggest is not to use Velcro here, because it makes a lot of noise, especially when it's on your pole. It makes a lot of kind of crackling noise. Not really so much when it's just on there and you're just recording, but it does make a little bit of noise. So what I would recommend instead is to use a drawstring. So you could basically kind of put anything in here, like a thread or some sort of loop system, that you can even put a piece of fabric over here to kind of create that loop, and then just put a string around it and you just kind of draw it closed. So that's my only recommendation, but this thing works great. We'll test it later. Alright, so basically this is a bird feeder that you can find at Walmart. Just go to the lawn and garden section and try to look for the bird feeders. You'll find something like this. And this comes with some end caps that are, you know, kind of a part of the steel here. So I actually had to use a hacksaw to kind of trim off the edges here. So what I did is use the wire cutters to cut a hole in the end here so I could get the cord that goes from the microphone to the boom pole to kind of loop through here. Okay? And so simple enough. And these little end pieces here, these are actually rain gutter leaf catchers. And so you can find these in Lowe's or Home Depot by the rain gutter section, wherever they sell the rain gutter stuff. And so what I've done here is I used the little zip ties to interweave with the wire mesh at the end here to kind of hold this in place. Now I've intentionally didn't do that with the other end because sometimes I might need to kind of pull this out, and it really doesn't take a whole lot to kind of pull this out, but and it just kind of overlaps like this, so it does kind of expand a little bit. So I didn't tie that down because I wanted to be accessible in case I need to take that microphone out. I didn't want to have to cut the zip tie off every time. Alright, so what I have in here is a Sony ECM 673 shotgun microphone, and it is suspended in the middle here using 4 rubber bands, and these rubber bands are held or kind of stretched from the outside using these zip ties also. So these zip ties really kind of help this thing kind of hold together pretty well. And so the way that these rubber bands are kind of put in here is kind of tricky. So what I had to do was use barbecue skewers to kind of keep the rubber bands outside the mesh while I was kind of stretching them into the right place. And then after I get all the barbecue skewers kind of set in there, I would slip in the zip tie behind the barbecue skewers to kind of create this hole that we have here with the rubber bands. So the last part is to get a microphone holder, and this cost me about $5 on Amazon.com, probably plus shipping. And then I cut off the sides here because it had that full grip that would go around the whole microphone. So I had to cut a little bit on each side. And then what I did is put some JB Weld in between this and the mesh and glued it on here and just kind of let it set overnight. After that set, I used zip ties to kind of further secure it to the wire mesh. And then on this microphone holder, I think that originally had a 5/8 female thread. So this is an adapter that goes from it's basically a 5/8 male to 3/8 female inset adapter that goes right in the bottom here. And that way I can put my 3/8 boom pole holder right into it. You just put the back in. And again, I would prefer to use the drawstring as opposed to the Velcro. Just it makes a little less noise that way. And this screws on to the boom pole holder. Alright, so now we can extend a full 8 feet right here. Another way to hold the microphone is to just put it behind your neck right here and just let your arms carry the counterweight for the microphone. And you just kind of just chill here. I'm cool. Alright, for a first test we're going to use just the dead cat with the fan, and we'll see if we can kind of notice a big difference without the dead cat. Full blast. So let's go ahead and test it without the dead cat and see what it sounds like. Now that was low. You can hear a lot of the low rumble. Let's go and turn on high. All right, well, thank you for joining me in this week's Daniel Scott Design video series, and I hope you enjoyed this boom pole and shotgun blimp tutorial. I hope to make and share other DIY videos with you, and I have a lot of fun making this type of stuff. And so please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, and I will see you next time.